Hello and welcome to the NFL Blitz, the defense analysis podcast for the divisional round. I'm Big Italy 42. He is Josh Shepardson at BChad50. And talking about some of your favorite plays. Obviously, this is second round. This is pretty much the last round where, I don't know what the prize pools will be next week, but there's a Millionaire Maker still this week and still 4 games. Obviously, next week, just going to be 2 games. So, if there's games, I probably won't be playing them. But either way, this is probably your last chance to make a decent lineup and not just hope to get lucky. And starting off here with the Cardinals and the Packers, and if you've been following the NFL, especially in the second half of the season, the Cardinals played the Packers late in the year, and it was an absolute brutal beatdown. The Cardinals just were murdering Aaron Rodgers. They were getting to him seemingly every play, couldn't make plays down the field, and this is the Packers offense that has struggled in a big-time way this year. They're a bottom half offense here, and this is a Cardinals defense that arguably the best, if not, certainly one of the best, if not the best overall defense in the league.
Yeah, you mentioned that beatdown, and that is the best way to put it. They held the Packers to under 200 yards of total offense in Week 16. They allowed 8 points to them, but they scored 2 defensive touchdowns, forced 4 turnovers, and recorded 9 sacks. So if you liked the 29-point fantasy effort from Kansas City Chiefs in the wild card round, then you likely loved the Arizona Cardinals hanging a 33-point spot on FanDuel and DraftKings in Week 16 against the Packers. The Packers had success in the wild card round against Washington, but that was largely because they ran the ball so effectively. Aaron Rodgers completed just a tick over 50% of his passes. He was only 21 for 36, only had 210 yards passing. Did throw for a pair of scores, but they still had problems in the passing game. This was not your typical vintage Aaron Rodgers, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb pass offense where they just rip teams apart, and it continues to be a problem without Jordy Nelson, and they're not going to have very much luck through the air against a Cardinals defense that's very good against the pass, allowed the 8th fewest passing yards per game at 230.4. They got Patrick Peterson to take away whichever receiver they want to take away from the Packers, whether that's James Jones or Randall Cobb. Peterson's going to blanket them and take them away. And this is a passing attack that the receivers just haven't been good most of the year anyway. So you take away whoever they deem the top receiver, and all of a sudden it looks even thinner and even worse. And as far as running the ball, Packers had success against Washington. Good luck this week. Not happening. They ranked 6th in rushing yards allowed per game, the Cardinals, that is. 91.3 yards rushing per game at just 3.9 yards per carry. I think Eddie Lacy and James Starks are the backs that are going to buck that trend. I think crazy. The Packers have had problems keeping Aaron Rodgers upright all year. They allowed the 5th most sacks in the regular season with 47 of them, and 9 of those were allowed to the Arizona Cardinals in Week 16. So, this is a high ceiling, this is a high floor, and the Cardinals are the biggest betting favorites at minus 7 points right now. So, they're at home, and there's everything to like about this team. You're going to get fantasy points. You're going to get a lot of fantasy points. Anytime you get a high floor and a high ceiling like that, you got to love it. Bonus points for the fact that they're only the 3rd most expensive defense on FanDuel and 4th most expensive defense on DraftKings. So you don't even have to pay up for them as if they are the top defense.
Yeah, and we're talking about a team that's probably going to have Jared Abbrederis as the number 3 receiver this week. And
yep.
I don't know for sure, but I know it was close if it wasn't. I know that Arizona point total you were talking about, that defensive point total, it may have been the highest of any team this year. I know it was very close if it was not. So,
yep.
Yeah, definitely going to be good luck to the Packers on this one. Going to be tough for them. And speaking of being tough, the Denver Broncos defense, in my mind, I think in your mind as well, has been the best defense unit this year, and it hasn't even been all that close, if you ask me. Incredible against the pass, good against the run. They get after the quarterback. They just do everything very well. And now they're facing a team that Antonio Brown maybe banged up. You got a doubtful D'Angelo Williams. He's probably not going to go. Ben Roethlisberger apparently has ligament tears in his shoulder. If they force him to play, which that would be very Steelers of them to do, then he's not going to be able to throw the ball down the field. You're not going to have success throwing the ball down the field anyway against this team. I know he had a good game against them before, but he was healthy in that game. And that was all pretty much in one half, really. And call me a hater on the Steelers. I just don't see without a healthy Ben Roethlisberger how they compete against this defense here.
I don't either, and I was very close to moving the Denver Broncos into that elite territory with the Cardinals, which in my mind really elite this week just means cash games play. So cash games or GPPs. Obviously, if you're in cash games consideration, you're strong enough to be used in GPPs. But I do think that the difference in price was enough to keep the Broncos in the GPP play because you are going to have to pay a little bit more for them than you will for the Cardinals. But I do think their upside is just as high as that of Arizona. Whether Big Ben plays or not, I almost think that the Broncos defense looks less enticing if they go to Landry Jones at this point because with the ligament damage that Ben suffered, they can squat on those receivers and force Ben to beat them deep. And if he doesn't have the arm strength, which you suspect he doesn't with ligament damage in his throwing shoulder, he's not beating you deep. So all of a sudden when he tries to take these chances downfield, he's trying to do it against the best secondary in football. No team allowed less yardage per game than the Broncos. The Broncos were the only team to hold opponents to under 200 yards passing per game. You noted that they were also really good against the run. Well, they allowed the third fewest rushing yards per game at 83.6 yards per game. So, I mean, they just kept teams from moving the ball, period. And when they weren't just keeping teams to 3 and outs, they were forcing turnovers. They forced 27 of them. No team sacked opposing quarterbacks more than the Broncos did, 52 times in the regular season. I mean, this defense can score points in a variety of ways. No matter who's playing quarterback, they're not going to have a lot of weapons to work with. If Brown's out like he's expected to be, with D'Angelo Williams likely out, it's going to be the Fitzgerald Toussaint and Jordan Todman show in the backfield, and that's not a show anybody's looking to watch. So this is just a really good defense against a very injury-depleted offense. And yeah, they hung 34 points against the Broncos in Week 15, but that was a healthy Steelers unit. This is not a healthy Steelers unit now.
Yeah, it's it could be pretty ugly there for sure. Next up, we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, this one being a GPP play where they're facing up against the Patriots. Patriots getting Julian Edelman back, that's going to be a big story. You were talking to me about it for the show, whether he's completely healthy, whether he's going to see a ton of snaps, I don't think anybody really knows that at this point in the week. It's early in the week, but either way, this is a Patriots team that's now healthy, but this Chiefs defense has been absolutely locked down over the past now 11 weeks. So, yes, it's the Patriots, but you're looking for GPP plays. You got to be different somewhere. I guess not so much this past week, but this week, you got to get off the chalk place somewhere. And I think that targeting the hottest defense in the league right now is not a bad way to go.
Yeah, I mean, during that 11-game winning streak, the Chiefs have allowed just 2 opponents to score 20 points or more. They forced at least 1 turnover in each game during that winning streak, and they forced multiple turnovers in 8 of those 11 games, which is just unreal. They ranked fourth in the league in sacks during the regular season, so they can get after the quarterback. The Patriots ranked around the middle of the pack in terms of sacks allowed. The league average, according to Pro Football Reference, was 37.1 sacks allowed for the season. Patriots allowed 38, so they had a slightly below average offensive line in terms of pass protection for Brady. And really, whether you're using the Chiefs or not this week comes down to what you think Julian Edelman can bring to the table. The Patriots were undefeated with Julian Edelman playing healthy and playing, and he was very good, but he hasn't played in 2 months. By the time this weekend's game rolls around, it will be 2 months off of the football field. So you'd suspect that even though they say he's going to be a full go, how rusty is he going to be? And if he's rusty and he's not himself, we've seen what this Patriots offense can do or maybe can't do, and that's score without Julian Edelman to take some pressure off of Rob Gronkowski and give Brady an extra weapon. They scored just 30 points the last 2 weeks of the season, 20 against the Jets, 10 against the Dolphins of all teams. They had a chance to lock up the number 1 seed, and they got beat by the Dolphins. They scored 10 points. So I don't think I'm going out on much of a limb here saying the Chiefs' defense is slightly better than that of the Dolphins. So if Edelman is back and he's not playing at the level that he was before sustaining his injury, this offense has looked awful without him to really bring some balance to that passing attack. So I think the Chiefs are that type of high ceiling play that maybe people look at the spread, they see the 5 points that the Chiefs are getting, they think to themselves, hey, the Patriots were great with Edelman this year, but if this is Edelman at like 60%, not 100% Edelman, how much is he really bringing to the table? So Chase ceiling, I think you're going to get some really low ownership numbers with the Chiefs. I'm going to guess that My ownership levels, I had 15 to 25% for FanDuel, 10 to 20% for DraftKings and GPPs. I think they may actually be a little bit lower with the news of the ligament damage in Big Ben's throwing shoulder. I think you're going to see some more ownership maybe sneak up to the Broncos. So if you're getting these guys at 20% ownership or lower, you're talking about a high ceiling defense that I can compete with anybody. And if this is the Patriots offense that we saw the last few weeks of the season, it's one that you can score some fantasy points against.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a good shot to take in that spot, despite the tough matchup, because like you said, I mean there's a ton of playmakers on that defense, and guys like Eric Berry. Even if you're a Patriots fan, you got to cheer for this guy. Just a great story anyway. So, last one up, the opposite side of this one, we know this team, I mean, easily one of the most creative teams in the NFL, and it's not they don't have playmakers. They've got plenty of playmakers on their defense as well, but they've known to wreak some havoc as well. They've been a team that's been at the top of some GPPs on some defensive lineups. So they're definitely a team against the Chiefs offense that nobody's really scared of. We got Jeremy Macklin's not 100%, obviously Travis Kelce, but the Patriots look at, like you always mention, they look and they find their biggest threat on the opposite side on the offense, and they take that player out of the game. And there's not that many threats on that Chiefs offense, even if you don't take one away.
Yeah, and I mean, with Macklin at less than 100%, I would say Travis Kelce is pretty clearly the guy that the Patriots have to take away from the Chiefs offense. And what does that leave you? Sub 100% Jeremy Macklin and a backfield duo of Spencer Ware and Shakandra Quest. Albert Wilson's looked okay at times, but if you're worried about Albert Wilson as the number one option in a passing attack, then you probably haven't looked around the league a whole lot to see what else is out there as number one options. It feels weird that we're on a defense podcast, and I'm going to be talking about Julian Edelman again, but if you feel like Julian Edelman's going to come back and play at 85% of his former self, his pre-injury self, that offense was unreal when he was playing earlier in the season. When he was healthy, their low for points in a single game was 27. So that offense can hang some numbers if Edelman can go out there and make a difference. It's going to open things up. I know Deion Lewis played with him for a good chunk of his healthy games this season, but James White's actually done a really good job in relief of Deion Lewis as a pass-catching back. Edelman really was that cog that when he went down, the offense just really sputtered after that. So, if you think he comes back and plays at a high level, this is a Patriots offense that can hang some points, get out to a lead, and then if you get out to a lead and you put Alex Smith in passing situations, that is not good for the Kansas City Chiefs. They allowed 46 sacks during the regular season, which was the sixth most in the league, and that's despite the fact that they were tied for the third fewest pass attempts in the league at 473. Just a little back napkin math. That's a sack per 10 pass attempts. So if Alex Smith is stuck dropping back 30 times, pretty good chance you're going to end up getting at least 3 sacks. And this is a New England team that ranks second in sacks in the regular season with 49. So this is a pass rush that gets after quarterbacks that have good pass protection, and Alex Smith has not had good pass protection this year.
And I love that term now. I'm gonna have to start using that back napkin math. That's awesome. So definitely a lot of creative ways you can go with defenses this weekend. Obviously, if you want to, you can go Seattle or Carolina as well. It just seems to me that those 50 points scored the first time those guys met, and I wouldn't be surprised to see more. And I feel like they'll be higher owned against good offenses than they should be. But I'm looking forward to some low-scoring weeks this week, and I think defenses are going to be really key here for sure.
Same here.
All right, that'll wrap things up for us here. Find us on Twitter at DF Cafe, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out the rest of our content at dailyfantasycafe.com.